I followed the path that everyone told me to follow. Go to school, get good grades, get into a good college, get into a decent university, graduate with the best grade you can get, which I did. I got the first class honours, which is the best grade in the UK. Then go into the 9 to 5, and that is what I did. I achieved all of this, and everyone around me was really proud of me. But it wasn't until I was about 21 years old, well into this path, that I realised that I was living somebody else's dream. I wasn't living a life that I actually wanted to live, and that dream that someone else had made for me might as well have been a living hell. So naturally, I started self-medicating with everyone's favorite things. I would eat tons of McDonald's, I would watch tons of porn, and I would love playing games. That was my favorite thing in the world. Ever since I was a child, I just loved games. I had a massive addiction. I self-medicated with all of these things so much that I actually got sick of them. My brain was so fried that I found nothing fun anymore. And that obviously led to bouts of depression and really nihilistic thoughts like, what is the point of everything? But there was a little light in the distance, because there was a little something that I always used to do. I always used to try to start my little projects. I had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to start my own business and make money for myself and be my own boss. Because I think I have a thing with authority. I just hate when someone tells me what to do. So the things I tried is making websites, making apps, learning to code in a bunch of different programming languages, but none of those really got anywhere because I was too scared to try anything with them. I just learned all the skills and then got bored of it and moved on to the next thing. Finally, in September 2021, I started the thing that would change it all. I started my first YouTube channel. And just like an influencer that I can't really remember the name of right now said, after that, my life was never the same again. Because in May of next year, after 8 months and a massive mental struggle of doing work every single day, seeing no results for a while, then seeing some results, seeing those results go right back down, after all of that, I finally started making enough money to not have to work a 9 to 5 and go full time. Fast forward 2 years, and in October last year, I managed to release my first product to my YouTube audience of over 100,000 subscribers, and that first product did $250,000 in sales. And since then, I've been able to travel Asia, live wherever I want. I'm currently in Australia, but I'll be going back to the UK soon just to change things up a little bit again. I can essentially do whatever I want, whenever I want. I don't have a boss telling me what to do. And it's also allowed me to pursue whatever projects I want to pursue. I've always wanted to have a personal brand where I just talk about my passions and tell people what I've been learning about. And this is the purpose of this channel. And I started this from literally zero. All I had was a tiny bit of coding knowledge from my university degree, but I never really went to the lectures in the first place because I'm quite a lazy person at heart. One day, I just decided to kick my ass in gear, take some action, and just learn things as I went along. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Brian, and this isn't a YouTube channel. We're a movement of people who are sick of the ordinary life that society is telling us to pursue, and we want to build something different for ourselves. The goal of this channel is to help you make the journey that I've been on, but to take away some of that pain that you might feel along the way, because it is a difficult journey and there's lots of uncertainty. And I hope that this channel can make it less daunting for you and help you make this journey a lot faster than I did. So if you resonate with this message, subscribe to the channel. Social media is the greatest opportunity that has ever existed in the history of humanity, literally. It's the only time that an average person with just a little bit of ambition, which you have tons of ambition, can start a business, and with just a little bit of time, effort, and consistent improvement can completely transform their life. And you can do this whilst working much less hours than in a typical 9 to 5, whilst doing something that you genuinely enjoy doing, whilst building a community that genuinely likes you and genuinely waits for the next upload, wants to know what you're up to. And all of this requires not being tied to anything physically like a lot of businesses had in the past. You know, you have to have warehouses, shops, physical products that you send out to people. You don't need any of that anymore. And you can start all of this, much like I did, absolutely broke from your own bedroom. I had less than $1,000 in my bank account when I started my channel. And what's the cost of failure? Nothing. Literally nothing. If you fail, nothing happens to you. In the past, you had to start a business with some sort of investment because most businesses were physical. And if that business failed, which most of them did, you got into mass amounts of debt which you had to pay back and waste years of your life doing that. Now, you can just start alongside your job. If it doesn't work out, you just try again until it works. And the leverage you have using social media is massive. It's way bigger than all of those other physical businesses had in the past. And this is thanks to the equation value times scale. A doctor gives a lot of value to not very many people because he's physically tied to his office and he can only see a certain amount of patients per day. So a doctor's value is high because he helps people solve their health problems, but the scale is quite low, and because of that, there's a cap on his income. But you, with no university degree or no prior knowledge, can start a channel and within a few months to a couple of years can build an audience of thousands of people. All of a sudden, you have thousands of people that you could potentially give value to, and if that value is big enough, they can pay you for it. You might not be able to help people as much as a doctor helps people, so you might not have quite as much value as that doctor, but your scale is astronomically bigger. Even most existing businesses now are starting their own social media accounts because they recognize that if they don't do it, they're gonna be behind and their competitors are going to overshadow them. And a lot of people might tell you that it's oversaturated, that it's not even worth starting because there's so many people already trying to do it, that there's so much competition and it's really hard to actually make it. But I'll tell you a secret. That's actually not true. Think about it. Where did that thought actually come from? Why do you think social media is oversaturated? If you kind of probe into your head why you think that, you might find that you've just made that thought up yourself, or you might have read something from someone that's failed. They might have only tried for a couple of weeks and given up. Or you might have even heard it from an existing influencer. And the truth is, influencers want you to think that social media is oversaturated. Think about it. That means less competition for them, more money for them. The truth is that it's not oversaturated because the demand is absolutely insane. There's literally billions of people on social media right now. And no matter what kind of person you are, you might think you're boring, you might not think you have anything to offer. I didn't think I had anything to offer. It's guaranteed that there's at least 100,000 people that are exactly like you out there. You can literally just start covering the topics that you're passionate about, and those people eventually, given enough time and effort, will find you. And you don't even need to find all of them to start making money. All you need to go full time, if you know how to monetize properly, is a few thousand subscribers. If you still don't think that you have anything to offer, like you're not really that special, like you don't think people will watch you, go on the community posts of this channel and go scroll all the way to the first community post. I don't think there's any other ones right now, but there might be in the future. But scroll and look at the picture on the first community post and tell me, what is so special about that guy in that picture? Nothing. That is me from 3 years ago. So many people are living lives of quiet desperation. They're so unhappy in their current life and routine because it's not the life that they've designed for themselves. It's a life that's been designed for them. I remember that after I finished my year-long internship and had 1 year left of university, and I was trying to build my channel at the time, people were telling me that the real world is about to start and I'm about to experience what the real world is like and that all the fun is about to come to an end. And that filled me with so much dread. But in the back of my mind, there was a little bit of hope because I had been working on my YouTube channel for a few months at the time. And even though I had no results, I had the conviction and the ambition to see it through. I didn't believe what they were telling me because I was convinced that I wouldn't end up like that. I wouldn't have that life. And thankfully, I did make it. And I made it just as the final year exams were finishing and I would have been about 2 weeks from starting a 9-to-5 job. That is when I got my first paycheck from YouTube. I put off starting for a long time until I realized that in the past, people had it so much more difficult than we do now. Think about it. If you're apprehensive and nervous to start some sort of social media presence now, Think about just how difficult it would have been to start for you before. Since most businesses in the past were physical, you would have probably had to rent some sort of property or get some prototype for a product in, start production of that product without even knowing if it's going to sell in the first place. It would have been pretty much a given that you would have to spend at least a few thousand to try your business idea. Now, you can literally start recording right now and post your first video today. You know what you're missing out on right now because you watch a lot of influencers yourself and you can see the life that they're living on their day to day. There are a lot of people doing this and making quite a bit of money from social media that are far less intelligent than you. That should annoy you a little bit because it annoyed me. When I first started, I would look at people in my niche and I knew that I could make better videos than them and I could get more subscribers and more success than them. And I did. Realize that you're probably putting some people on a pedestal that aren't really that special and that they're not that different from you. When I made my first money and avoided going back to my 9 to 5 and started doing this full time, I was still far from perfect, but all I did is just make a plan and just jump straight into it. But when I started getting my first paychecks, I couldn't even follow half of my routine. I couldn't focus properly. I was still holding on to some of those addictions that I had. A lot of influencers will make their life seem perfect, but it's often far from that. They're normal people just like you, but that's just a game of social media. If you make yourself look as good as possible, you're going to make more sales. Rest assured, I am still far from perfect, and so are all the other influencers that are making money from this. They're not perfect either. I remember how painful working a 9 to 5 used to be for me. I'm not sure if everyone that works a 9 to 5 is like this, but I absolutely hated it. I hated the fact that I had to do something, even if I didn't want to. And it's not even that, it's not that you have to do it, because when I make myself do something, I feel good after I've done it, but it's when someone else makes you do something. And if you don't do that thing, it's gonna negatively impact you. You might lose your livelihood. Some people have a mortgage, they have kids, and they're so tied down to their job that they literally have to do whatever their boss tells them to do. They have no control over their lives. So when their boss tells them to come in on a weekend, they feel like they have to because they don't want to build a bad relationship with their boss and that ending up in them losing their job in the future. You're always going to do hard things, and in business it's probably more difficult than in a job. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot of things that you have to make yourself do, and you have to learn to do that. But the flavor of that work, the flavor of that pain is so much better than the pain you feel going to a 9 to 5. There's a whole different feeling to it when you've set yourself a goal and then you achieve that goal. You need to be careful because you might be putting this kind of success on a pedestal, but realize that all you need to do is just to make a few $1,000s online. And once you end up achieving that, you'll realize that it actually wasn't as bad as you thought. There's people out there literally making like $250,000 a month. So why can't you make a few thousand? It's not even about the hard work. I used to think that it was work that I didn't like, but that wasn't actually the case. I just hated that someone else was making me do the work. When I first started doing business, I said to myself that I would make £1 million, then I would put it all into an index fund and I would retire forever. But the more I've been doing this, the more I realized that I actually don't really want to stop working. I used to think that it was the work that I didn't like, but that's not actually the case. It's the fact that someone else sent me the work and I had no choice but to do it. That all changes when you can set yourself the work, because then it just becomes a game. And I always liked playing games, so now I'm just doing the same thing but in real life. It's a good life because setting yourself goals, pursuing them every day and then achieving them fills you with such a sense of purpose and fulfillment. It's a great feeling that most people just can't get from a job unless it's a job that they've always wanted ever since they were like 4 or 5 years old. But for most people that's not the case, because the job they're in is probably one that they've sort of been dragged into. I said a while ago that I always liked leaders and following strong leaders, and I wanted to become one day, but I didn't really know what that would entail and what I would lead. And I'm starting to think that the mission for this channel and the thing that I'm leading is to help as many people as possible quit their 9 to 5 jobs. And I don't know if everyone has this. Some people probably hide it much better than others, but in every 9 to 5 office, there is a group of people with lives of quiet desperation. They hate what they're doing, but they just see no way out. Some people seem to be fine with it, and they seem to be okay with that being their life for the next 40 or 50 years. But I know that in every 9-to-5 office, there is people out there like me. And if you're watching this video, you are one of those people. You might have not even started your 9-to-5 job. You might still be in school, but you're just desperate to find something that works so that you don't have to enter that life. Or you might already be in that life and you're absolutely hating it, just like I did a few years ago. Whatever the case is, welcome. I'm glad you're here because you're a lot like I was. I know exactly the pain you're feeling and I can relate to you so much. And if you're one of those people, I want you to know that there is a way out. This doesn't have to be your life. If your dream is to wake up, do 4 hours of work, and then go skiing for the rest of the day, that's possible. You can do that. The only limits that exist in this world are ones that you put on yourself. You could break through those limits and literally design the life you want. And then if you align 100% of your life towards achieving that outcome, within just 2 or 3 years, you can get there. You're not alone. I'm with you, and everyone in the comments is with you. We're all doing this together. So if you want to see more videos like this, click the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.